And as folks come in the room, I am Sabrina Nelson from the admissions office. Some of you may be my student. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions, and so it is our pleasure to host tonight Managing Finances and Reducing Cost While Attending CCS. So our presenter is Mr. Matt Catanese, and he is an association with our other financial aid counselors, Jamie Johnson and Allison, who are here. So if you all have questions, we're going to ask that you ask them in the chat. We are hoping that you put yourself on mute. We are recording this, so if you don't want your face on camera, you can turn your camera off as well, but I'm sure you all have some great questions, that maybe our financial aid team can answer, and if we don't know the answer right away, we will look for it. So with that being said, I am going to mute myself, continue to let people in the room, and let Matt take it from here.
Thank you, Sabrina. As Sabrina introduced myself, I am Matthew Catanese. I'm the director here at College for Creative Studies in the financial aid position. I have been with the college for 5 years. I have over 14 years experience in the financial aid arena at various schools. So I feel like myself and my team know a little bit about financial aid. Here with us today, we got Jamie Johnson. She's a financial aid counselor. She handles students that have last names that start with A through K. And then Allison Molesworth, she is also a financial aid counselor, and she handles the back end of the alpha split, so L through Z. So as Sabrina had mentioned, managing finances, reducing costs while attending CCS. I just want to do a quick disclaimer. We did start sending out financial aid award packets as of last week. So if you have not received one, give it about another good week or so. And then if not, please reach out to us. If you have, wonderful. Feel free to reach out with any questions. During the presentation today, if you guys do have any questions, I ask that you either unmute yourself or put it in the chat so that we can answer it on the spot so that you're not trying to write it down and remember it at the end when we open it up for Q&A. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop my video and I will get rocking and rolling. So what we're going to be covering today, we're going to be covering direct versus indirect costs, work-study job opportunities, off-campus job opportunities, scholarship opportunities, requirements to keeping your financial aid. Very good slide to pay attention to. Accepting your financial aid package for those that have received them in the mail. Important dates and deadlines to be made aware of. Pros and cons of financial aid awards. And then we're going to open it up for a Q&A session at the end. So direct versus indirect costs. We have this year 9 different budgets based on dependent student, independent student, and graduate students. And each has a little bit of different budget components based on their housing choice and then living expenses. So as we have here, we have the direct costs for a dependent student. You have your tuitions, your fees, your housing, your meal plan or food, transportation, books, course materials, etc., personal and loan fees, and then tuition insurance. So this is your sticker price. So direct versus indirect, this is a whole picture of it. And so this includes, billable costs versus non-billable costs. And as you see, as you work through the screen, you have housing options of with parent, on campus, and then off campus. So you'll see these different budget components. Now, in order to determine these budgets, you need to indicate your housing status. And this was usually done on FAFSA, but they've done away with that. So we have asked it on the admissions application, as well as once I open up self-service, you'll be able to update your housing status if you left it blank or didn't answer it. So with parent, your total cost of attendance is $68,205. On campus, it's $74,168. And off campus is $72,435. So this allows us as financial aid professionals to award you financial aid up until that cost of attendance. So it helps determine need-based aid, like your grants and scholarships and your need-based loans, and so on and so forth. So breaking it down to realistic numbers, you have your direct costs, which is your tuition, your fees, your resource fee, registration fee, accident insurance, and then your tuition insurance for with parent. And as from last year, 2023-24, the average scholarship package, so scholarship and grant that comes from all monies from all sources. So your federal government, your state of Michigan, your CCS, additional funding, including your merit scholarship. The average of all of that was $31,191. Now that's important to remember because that is money that does not need to be repaid. So on the last slide, we had your total cost of attendance, putting it down into perspective. So for with parent, the total cost of attendance is estimated at $53,701. You add that, you subtract out that average grant and scholarship award, and that brings down your total billable estimated cost to $23,510. So this is over the semester, fall and winter semester. And so, and it's based on full-time enrollment, so 12 plus credits. Then we move over to the on-campus, and then your costs are $64,741, and that includes the average cost of housing based on all options, and then our small meal plan charge, so $2,900. And again, this is based off of full-time enrollment for the academic year, both fall and winter. So with that being said, the total cost of estimated attendance, if you were living on campus, is $64,741. You subtract out that estimated average grant scholarship award, and that brings your estimated cost down to $34,550. And then on the far right off campus, again, $53,701 because you're only being charged the direct costs. And then that brings your, after we subtract out the average grant scholarship award from 23-24, you're looking at around $23,510. So that really breaks it down. The total cost of attendance is your sticker price. And then when we further break it down to direct costs and leave subtract out that average grant and scholarship award, it really brings the price down to a more realistic expectation. So these are for my dependent students. So students that are required on FAFSA to add parent information, okay, based on the dependency questions on there. Now for my independent status students, you'll notice that your charges and budgets are a little bit different based on, the cost of housing, cost of food, and these are really determined by how the market is. So we have to use several different Department of Ed sites to determine these costs. We also use a annual survey to capture the costs that students actually incur, so that it gives us a real indication on the average cost from the prior year and determine if that's a more realistic figure, or if we use inflation to determine these costs, etc. So again, your sticker price for with parent is 63,000, let's just say 400. On campus is 74,215, and then off campus is 72,482. Again, your sticker price, not costs that you're actually going to incur. So then breaking it down even further, again, using that average grant scholarship award for with parent and off campus, it's going to be right around the same, the 23,510. On campus housing, the estimated out of pocket is 34,550. So again, this slide really puts it into perspective on what you could estimate out, and this is again before loans. So as FAFSA filers, you do have the option to borrow federal subsidized and unsubsidized loans. And then for my dependent students, their parents have an option to borrow a Parent Plus loan. So this again is this cost is before any student loans are taken into consideration. So it really puts it in perspective on what the expectation is or what you can expect, as a CCS student coming in. So a good way to kind of offset some of this cost is looking at work study job opportunities. These are opportunities that are part-time on-campus jobs, and they are available to all students. So the only thing that we cannot guarantee is a position. So if the student is able to get a position on campus, then they could use those work earnings to then offset some of that cost. It's not directly reduced your tuition based on work study, but what you can do is you work every 2 weeks, you receive a paycheck, and then it's up to the student on how they're going to utilize those funds, whether it is put towards educational expenses such as books and supplies or miscellaneous expenses that happen during the semester, or they can put it towards their balance. The financial aid office manages the allocation of federal or CCS funds. It does nothing more than that. We just have to sign off on the work study authorization, and then it's up to HR and the payroll to handle the rest. And then every year there are approximately 300 on-campus work study positions. Just happened. There it is. Sorry about that. So students can work up to 20 hours a week maximum. So if they have multiple positions, they can't work more than 20 hours. Hourly ranges are from minimum wage up to $13 an hour. The hourly wage and number of hours per position are determined by the hiring manager. So it's not, you're not guaranteed up to 20 hours. I would say a good range is anywhere from 6 to 10, with, some other positions giving a little bit more. So that, it's not uncommon that students have. This is Reagan, this is being recorded. So admissions will send out the slides, and then if needed, I can go back after it. So just remind us after the presentation when we open up the Q&A. So work study students are required to submit weekly timesheets for the manager's approval to be paid on a bi-weekly basis, and wages are paid via direct deposit. So where to look for work study positions? First, you would want to go to the financial aid office page. Research the list, and then that's where about middle of the page, you'll see a whole work study section. You'll want to research the listings often since work study positions are ongoing. Check the weekly student email for new postings or immediate hire postings. So I believe those will start beginning once you start a semester as new students. So you'll be added to the all student email, and then that's when student affairs will start sending out the weekly emails. It's best to choose positions that meet your skill set, requirements, and interest. Hiring managers handle the applicant pools and interview process. So again, financial aid does not have any pull in that. And then hiring managers may extend an offer, which means the process begins. So you'll apply for the job. The hiring manager will look at your application, determine if they want to call you in for an interview. If they like what you have to say, what your skill set is, then they'll extend an offer. So what that means then is the hiring manager will initiate the work study authorization form, which will need to secure signatures from multiple offices. The new hire paperwork will require, HR requires new hire paperwork, the federal W-9 form, and 2 forms of ID. And then once all signatures are obtained on the form, all signing parties will receive a copy of the finalized work study authorization, and that's your cue that you can officially start working. So off-campus jobs, we are in essentially a vibrant, upcoming, busy student center of Midtown. So whether you want to be a barista, a server, a bank teller, art gallery assistant, there are many opportunities within walking distance of the campus. There are art supply stores, galleries, museums, music and sports venues, bakeries, coffee shops, grocery and retail stores, and many, many, many restaurants that surround CCS. So the opportunities are pretty plenty. If you have a bike, scooter, or take the Q line, you can expand your search, which will open up and even more opportunities within a 2 to 3 mile radius of the campus. And then, of course, if you have a vehicle, if you're bringing a vehicle to campus, you can expand your efforts, even further. And then, potentially a little less competition if you extend it out. But again, the opportunities are out there for off-campus jobs, especially around our campus. So the next thing is scholarship opportunities. Now, this is really, really important to pay attention to because these really help students offset some of that cost. So scholarships and additional awards can come from CCS as well as third-party entities, so outside resources. So CCS has donor-supported scholarships, which can be applied to by visiting this website, which again can be found on our financial aid website. We have a slew of endowed scholarship opportunities that all students are reviewed for eligibility, and there's no application generally. These opportunities go to the department chairs and faculty review panels, and they pick the students based on the specific award criteria. We have CCS or departmental competitions, which require specific submission types such as written essays, portfolio pieces, proposals, etc. And then sponsored projects, which again, all students are eligible to participate in to provide their expertise and work to various businesses and companies. Additional funding is made available to these students based on project performance. So sponsored projects are companies coming to CCS and they are soliciting our help on maybe one of their projects. So the departments will, conjure up a small group based on, project type, work experience, etc. And then you guys will work on that project. And then at the end of the project, then you'll get, they call it a stipend. So then I'll get the award on your award offer. And then if your balance is already paid in full, then that funding would then just be refunded back to you. So it's a pretty cool opportunity. Outside scholarships. So my recommendation is to review these opportunities often. Scholarship searching, takes time and persistence. So, don't get discouraged if you don't immediately get a response either. A lot of these outside scholarships have different due dates, deadlines, review times, and things like that. So even if you are already into your semester, I encourage you guys to continue to look at these scholarship opportunities. Even if you were to get a scholarship mid-semester or maybe in the winter semester, we can get that applied to your account. And again, that overall reduces your out-of-pocket expense. And in some cases, it reduces the amount of loans you have to take to cover your balance. So everyone that filled out a FAFSA application that wasn't rejected for any reason from the Department of Ed, the scholarship page will be a part of your award offer. So keep in mind, it should be the last page of the stapled document in there. But again, you can go to the financial aid office page or to this link, and it'll bring up the same form. Now, it's a Cliff Note version. I'm going to be completely honest with you. There are probably a ton of opportunities out there, via web, via, your high school counselor or maybe different community groups offering scholarships. This is honestly a Cliff Note version of it. The websites and the links and the helpful tips are all vetted by our office to make sure that they're safe, they're viable options. They're not going to send you through some rat race and then they're going to take your identity or whatever your submission. So just be careful and cautious when just Googling scholarships because there are a lot of scams out there. So this is the biggest, financial aid requirements, expectations. So this is pretty good slide that you guys want to pay attention to. So maintaining your financial aid. So federal, state, and need-based institutional grants and scholarships require annual FAFSA completion. So it's not a one and done. So every year on October 1, hopefully moving forward, the next year's FAFSA is going to open up. So I would really encourage you guys to fill it out as soon as that October 1. That way we can go out much earlier next year with financial aid offers. We strive to get them out within the first 3 weeks of January. So this year, because of the Department of Ed delays and constant, finding errors and having to fix them and further delaying it, it really put us back to on it like last week. So yeah, we're going to be hopefully much quicker. For my state of Michigan students, the FAFSA filing deadline, if you have not done it this yet, is July 1 of 2024. It's a hard and fast deadline. So if your FAFSA is not submitted by July 1, you are out of luck for the entire academic year for qualifying for state of Michigan aid. Normally, the state of Michigan FAFSA filing deadline is May 1. So starting next year, it'll be May 1. But for this year, this upcoming fall, please pay attention. July 1, 2024, you need to get your FAFSA in. So students must maintain satisfactory of academic progress as defined by the Department of Education. These are not CCS rules. These are rules for every higher ed degree granting, financial aid granting university institution. Okay, so cumulative GPA for my undergrad students needs to be a 2.0 or higher. If you're a graduate student, it's got to be 3 or higher. Completion rate. So students must pass 67% of all courses attempted, and it includes all withdrawals, drops, and failed classes. So we review SAP every semester. You have one kind of like probation period to get yourself back into good standings on your own, and then that second semester or however long it takes potentially takes, you may end up, if you're not meeting the requirements, you will lose financial aid eligibility. So that means all grants, scholarships, loan eligibility will be gone. And then the final SAP rule that we look at is the maximum time frame rule. This states that students can only utilize 150% of their degree requirements. So as an example, if a student program is 126 credits for graduation, then a student can technically utilize financial aid to cover up to 189 credits towards their degree, but it has to be classes within their program to be able to utilize financial aid. So if you are not meeting these requirements and you already had a probationary term or a semester, and then still you weren't able to bring up these requirements to meet satisfactory academic progress, again, you will lose financial aid. So another term that you will see is selected for verification. Now, don't stress. Honestly, please just respond. So every year, around 20 to 30% of all financial aid applicants are selected for verification by the Department of Ed. CCS does not institutionally select students and has no control over who and who isn't selected for verification by the Department of Education. There's usually no rhyme or reason for selection, and it's done on a random basis. What I have seen, to be honest with you, year over year, is if you're selected, it's kind of, you're always selected. I don't know if there's a reason for that, or if it just ends up that way, but it seems that way. So again, it's not saying that you're doing anything wrong. It's just it tells the school that they need to verify the data on the FAFSA is actually accurate, and that that the students and families that are filling it out are actually interpreting the questions correctly. It's not saying you're purposely trying to, skirt around, requirements or, not report something. So when you're selected for verification, the financial aid office will reach out to you and we will tell you what is required in order to clear that verification status. So information could be household size, tax filing status, income earned, etc. And then to lessen the chances of being selected, it's always encouraged that tax filers use the IRS Direct Data Exchange, the DDX tool, when completing the FAFSA. So what that tool does is that links your prior year taxes, so 2022 taxes, to the FAFSA automatically, and it just brings over that information, populates the fields, and then you're able to move on. So that information, if you're able to utilize that tool, it is we can use that as proof of verification if you used it. So reviewing and accepting your financial aid offer. So once you receive your financial aid award offer, you go through it, you are, head over heels that, we provided you, X amount of dollars. The next part is you go into self-service and accept the reject or your financial aid offer. Now, you as a student have control of what you accept or reject. So your grants and scholarships are generally accepted on your behalf because it's, money that doesn't need to be repaid. So generally going in, you're accepting or rejecting student loans outside of the Parent Plus loan. So you'll log into self-service from the Access Manager. You'll go to financial aid and then review to accept or reject your awards, your 2024-25 awards. The grants and scholarships that are not accepted automatically on your behalf are the Michigan Tuition Grant and Federal Pell Grant and the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. Those are placed in a pending status since they require verifying attendance, and then for the state grants, verifying that your name is on the certifying roster. I just caught it, Michigan Tuition Grant. So no one's awarded Michigan Tuition Grant at this point. There have been 2 proposals from the governor to completely eliminate it, starting the 2024-25, and then for all students. And then there's been another proposal to sunset it for students that have already been awarded. So no new students would receive it. There would be no new awards. And I will tell you, this is being fought tooth and nail by everyone because it's not good for the students. And I think that she's coming around to it. So this happened to us a couple years ago where she brought these proposals up and it was squashed, and we weren't able to award funding until November. But we went out at that point and was able to award. Those awards are up to $3,000. So just want to put that little disclaimer out there. So you'll see that the pending awards, though, they are already being calculated towards any balance. So when you look at your self-service under business office or student finance, I believe it is, and you'll see your billing statements, that funding is already being calculated in. So when we're able to flip the awards, then there won't be any change to your balance. So just make sure that you understand that. And of course, if you forget or if you have questions, you can always reach out to the office. On self-service, you can accept or reject your student loans. So subsidized and unsubsidized loans. Dependent students that show a federal Parent Plus loan, the loan requires an application, which approval is dependent on the Department of Ed. So in about a week or so, the forms, if you've received your financial aid offer, it's in the packet, or if it's on its way, it's in the packet already. Or in about a week or so on the financial aid office page, all of the forms for 2024-25 will be updated, and that Parent Plus loan will be there. So these are some screenshots of what you'll do to log into self-service. So you'll log into self-service, you'll go to financial aid, you'll select 2024-25 financial aid award year, and then there'll be an option that you'll be notified that your financial aid package is ready, and you'll click on the link that says review and accept your financial aid award. So when you click on that, it'll bring you to your actual financial aid offer, the electronic version. And you'll notice up top, if you're awarded any grants or scholarships, those would be either accepted or in pending status. And then you'll have your subsidized, unsubsidized loan, Parent Plus loan, depending on what you were awarded. And it'll show estimated, or the Parent Plus loan again requires an application, so you can't accept it on self-service. And then you'll just click accept or decline. You can accept it for one semester, for the whole year, or you can decline it. But just make note that if you decline your loan, and then later in the semester, you're like, oh crap, I need that loan. I have a project due, or I have an outstanding balance. Just reach out to our office, and then we can reset that loan for you. Where then at that point you can go into self-service and accept it at that point. So understanding your loan requirements. So students that are accepting the subsidized and unsubsidized loans for the first time are required to complete 2 federal requirements. Again, not CCS requirements, it's the Department of Ed, so federal requirements. And that is the Master Promissory Note and Entrance Loan Counseling. Both of those requirements are done online at studentaid.gov, the same website that you filled out the FAFSA application. And it's submitted electronically. And the good thing is that once you submit it, we get notification and are able to link it directly to your loan record. For my parents that were put on the FAFSA application, you can at that point apply for the Federal Parent Plus loan. If you are approved for the Parent Plus loan by the Department of Ed, you will be required to sign a Master Promissory Note. Essentially, the Master Promissory Note is just a promise that you're going to repay the loan when it comes due. For my students, the entrance loan counseling, that gives you so much information, useful information about loans, the requirements, the repayment structures, your expectations, and so on and so forth. So it's really a really good tool for you guys to take seriously when completing, and not just clicking through. And like I said, all requirements are done on the studentaid.gov. So subsidized and unsubsidized annual limits. So again, the Department of Ed sets the annual limits, and it's whether you attend CCS, you go to Oakland University, you go to Macomb Community College, you go to a out-of-state school. They're all the same. So again, it's not, we're not picking on you, giving you low amounts or so on and so forth. It's determined by the Department of Ed. So for my dependent freshman students, so dependent meaning parent information was required on FAFSA, you are only eligible to borrow up to $5,500 yearly for the first year. Sophomore status, that's after you've earned 30 credits or more, you're looking at $6,500 that you can borrow combined. And then once you get into your junior, senior year, it's $7,500 per status. And dependent students cannot exceed an aggregate loan limit, so a lifetime loan limit under the dependent status of $31,000. So just keep that in mind. So for my independent status students, so students that were not required to add parent information on the FAFSA, you guys can borrow $9,500 for your freshman, $10,500 for sophomore status, and then junior, senior, $12,500 respectively. So again, just keep in mind, Department of Ed sets these limits up. And for my independent status students, they cannot exceed an aggregate loan limit of $57,500. So important dates to pay attention to. These again are very important, so please be mindful of these dates. Tuition bills are handled by the business office, so not financial aid. So any questions regarding your billing would need to be directed towards the business office. Statements are mailed twice a semester, and they are emailed monthly to the student email address. So not the parent email address. So parents, if you want to, send your child a little reminder to see if their balance is paid off, or if they are receiving emails from the business office regarding past due balances, I would do that. You can also set up a proxy account for the parent so that they are able to log in and look at the statements only. And if need be, make payments. That's the only thing parents can do under a proxy account. So statements can be reviewed on self-service under student finance. Tuition dates are listed on the academic calendar and are generally due a month prior to the semester start. So that's a big thing. You need to have your financing in place, your balance paid in full, or enough financial aid to cover your balance, or a payment plan set up before that due date. So for the fall 2024 semester bill due date, it's August 1. And then for the winter balance due date, it is December 13th. Okay. There are also payment plans that are available through ACI. Those are available in July for the fall semester and November for the winter semester. There is a $65 enrollment fee per semester to establish a 5-month payment plan if you're doing it in July or just November. You do have the opportunity to set up a payment plan after that start date or start time, but it will reduce the amount of months that you can make the payments. And what the intentions are is that you're paying the balance off before the next semester starts. So you're paying the semester balance in either 5, 4, or 3-month installments based on when you set up the payment plan. Other important deadline dates to pay attention to is the add drop period and financial aid eligibility. So students are encouraged to, again, review the academic calendar for important drop and add deadlines, as well as tuition refund periods. So please be mindful that if a student is enrolled and drops or withdrawals during the tuition refund period, so 80, 60, 40% before you're 100% vested, then all CCS aid is canceled because you're receiving a percentage back off your refund. So dropping and with anything after that 100% vested, so generally after about 3.5 weeks of the semester start, if you were to add and drop, your CCS aid would stay in place. But dropping or withdrawing can affect your financial eligibility. So if you drop or withdraw within the semester and you have federal financial aid, so federal grants such as the Pell Grant or federal loans such as the direct subsidized loan or unsubsidized loan or even Parent Plus loan, we are required to recalculate your financial aid eligibility, and it is based off of your last date of attendance, and it is required by the Department of Ed. So if there is if you withdraw, say 5 weeks into the semester and you had federal financial aid, we are required to recalculate your eligibility, and there is a strong chance that a lot of your financial aid will need to be returned to the Department of Ed. So in turn, this would cause a higher balance that you owe CCS. So if you are thinking about dropping or withdrawing after the semester starts, after the first day, or even during the first day, it's highly encouraged that you communicate your intentions with both the academic advising department and the financial aid office before moving forward, so that we can advise you to the best of our abilities, so there's no surprises that come thereafter. So financial aid refunds. This is receiving a financial aid refund is not a payday or free money. So just please be mindful of that. That your refund generally comes from student loans. So, you want to be really, really mindful of that and borrow just what you need in order to cover direct costs, maybe a little bit extra for books and supplies if needed. The pros of it can help cover books and supplies. It helps with travel expenses to and from campus. And it can help with off-campus living expenses. The cons are, again, generally produced by over borrowing of loan funds. So whether that's federal loans, student loans, Parent Plus loans, or if you want to go private loans. Just be mindful that loans do need to be repaid and with interest. So therefore, it shouldn't be used to supplement income. Interest starts accruing on loans that disperse for your unsubsidized loan. So the student's federal unsubsidized loan, the Parent Plus loan, and or private loans. And then if a student, again, completely withdraws from all registered courses, they may owe funds back to the Department of Ed or even CCS. So if you are anticipating a financial aid refund, I would honestly vouch for setting up direct deposit. Again, students can do this through self-service. And then if you are a parent borrower and you want the refund to go back to the student, it would be recommended that you have the student sign up for direct deposit and put their banking information in, or you're going to be waiting for a check for up to maybe 3 or 4 weeks to receive that refund. And again, the financial aid office really, asks you to borrow responsibly and take your loans for direct costs only. So that's tuition, mandatory fees, and then housing and meal plan. So with that being said, I am all done with my song and dance, and I hope you guys really learned something. I'm going to open it up to questions. So if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, if you want to put it in the chat, you guys have been pretty quiet in the chat. Please do so. My team is here. I'm here. Come back on screen so you guys can see my face. So are there any questions? You guys are a quiet bunch. That must mean I did my job right. And you guys are fully informed and have no questions.
Two.
So Maddie is asking what the best way to set up an appointment is you are going to go to the financial aid webpage and you are going to find your financial aid counselor's Calendly link. And then you can there set up either a phone, a Zoom meeting, or an in-person meeting. So that would be the best way to get that process going. Great question, by the way. So Reagan is asking, what would you advise for people who are going to be living off campus with travel fees? She lives about half an hour away. Gas is insane, along with the traffic to get into Detroit. So honestly, Reagan, I would kind of start paying attention on how much you think that you are going to need to get to and from. Gas is going up, and then 3 weeks later it'll go way down, and then it'll go to record highs. It just seems to be all over the place. So I would honestly recommend start paying attention to what you're spending on gas, what you think that it's going to take you to get to and from, and if you can start working and saving over the summer so that you can keep down any loan borrowing or any overage that you may need from that. But you always have that opportunity to borrow a little bit extra to help with those costs.
And I'm going to ask Reagan, what department are you coming into for CCS? Because it also will determine how long you're going to be on campus for your studio classes. And with the amount of homework you have, if you can save where you can live on campus, because it's a half an hour with no snow, no ice. Oh man, transportation design. Reagan, listen, if you can live on campus, that's the best thing, because I never see those students leave. And commuting in the wintertime is kind of sometimes not easy. You might have a longer arrival time depending on how the weather is. So if you can work it out where you can stay very close to campus or live on campus, that's going to be your best bet, because for the almost 30 years that I've been here, they call it the late night society, because the students, they just stay up all night and they're working on their projects. And the closer you get to probably like the end of your sophomore year, beginning of your junior year, you want to try and push for an internship. Mostly all of the transportation design students want to push for an internship. And that's going to be some long hours just getting your your homework and projects done for, for those interview hours. So if you can, if it's possible, see if your family and you can budget where you can live here. And if you can't live in your freshman year, try it out for your sophomore year. And then once you live here, you can also apply for an RA position. And Matt, as far as I know, with RA positions, don't they get housing for free if they're an RA, but you have to live here and you have to apply for the job first. And you can't be an RA in your freshman year because you don't know what it is to be here. So you can only be an RA after you've lived here for a year. But if you live here and you're an RA, housing, you don't have to pay, but you are responsible for your peers by following the rules, making sure they're following the rules. So you have to be available certain hours.
That's true. And then Reagan, if you want to, make an appointment with your financial aid counselor, they can go over, the costs, your financial aid offer, the estimated breakdown and things like that. And they can really, enlighten you with other options to help reduce the costs and other options available out there that you could look into.
You're welcome. When I saw
Any,
transition design, I was like, oh Lord, those are going to be some late night, not sleeping hours. But they're like that in craft and material studies too. So it doesn't matter if you're designing cars or if you're designing really beautiful fabrics, because they're up all night.
so Sabrina, you got another question about animation students. Do they tend to spend a lot of time?
As far as I know, towards their senior year, they are in the studios a lot because they're downloading or uploading their reels so that they can have interviews with companies like Pixar and Disney. A lot of the classes, because some of our instructors are on the West Coast, they're later in the evening. So sometimes you won't leave here until 10 p.m. So if you live far, if you're like Ann Arbor, which I consider, it's just not cool in the nighttime with the ice. Westland is pretty close to me, but once you get past Rochester, or if you're going out towards Ann Arbor, Flint, Saginaw, commuting is not cool. If you can live close to campus or on campus, it's really a good option because every studio class that you have, you may possibly have 3 to 6 hours worth of homework. And if you're in the studio for animation and you're dealing with game design, you're on those computers a lot of hours that are not even in the classroom. So, they call CCS the late night society because our students don't go to sleep, and those creative brains, you're up with folks here on the campus. If you can afford to live on campus, I would do so, especially those design and digital majors, because sometimes you need the internet that's stronger here than you have at home. Sometimes you need to ask another student, hey, how would you approach this project? Or an upper class student who's here from Korea who already had an internship at Peugeot Motors in Paris, France. So it's really good to have the community that you can just step across a digital 24-hour digital lab, which CCS has, So if you can, try it.
So Michelle is asking, there are 2 different meal plans. What's the difference cost? So the small meal plan is $2,900, and that splits equally between both semesters, fall and winter. And then the larger meal plan is $43.50, I believe. I can do some simple math here.
And one of the differences is, you can eat all your dining dollars, or you don't have to, and depends on the appetite of the students. If our students who are freshmen live in the Taubman Center, right, they have to have the meal plan. If you're a student who lives in the Arts Center building, you have a kitchen, but you have a meal plan as an option. You don't have to get a full one, but if you don't know how to cook those noodles or make pizza or rice or cereal, what most college kids eat, it's up to you to decide how you're going to spend that meal plan. And they're basically dining dollars. It's like a card that has a certain amount put on it, and you can eat out of, the cafeteria. And then we have a couple of rooms that offer quick things in the spaces on the Kresge Ford campus and in the Taubman, where you can get like pot pies and, you know, toaster things, something that's simple that you don't necessarily have to cook, but you can warm up or microwave it.
Yeah, and the only meal plans, those would be on campus. So, but the Department of Education requires us to estimate out what it would cost a student that needs 3 meals a day, 7 days a week for the length of the academic year. So we estimate out, even if the student's living at home or off campus, see that they have a little bit different meal plan costs. That's not actually cost incurred. It's costs that are estimated out. The student may, spend that much, eat that much, or they may not eat that much. So it's a guesstimate. The meal plan are on campus. If you do live in like the TC, the Tallman Center, they are required because they don't have that kitchenette set up. And again, like Sabrina said, the ACB, they have the kitchenette set up, and so they're not required to carry a meal plan. So I hope that answers your question, Michelle. And then David, are freshmen eligible once school starts to be part of sponsored projects that you mentioned as part of school opportunities? I will be completely honest. I have only seen maybe 1 or 2 freshmen, and that was for winter semester, and that's because they had a really strong work ethic and they had really great work and they were a standout.
Usually freshmen don't get invited for sponsored projects because they don't know enough about it and their work isn't mature. You get the rare student who sometimes has been dual enrolled at CCS, has already taken some foundation classes, and their work is exceptional. But typically the sponsored projects that happen around here are for pretty much juniors and seniors, and it's rare to see a freshman or a sophomore. But like Matt said, if you see someone who's in it, that means they've probably been a part of the CCS community since they were in high school, and they probably took dual enrollment classes and maybe even a pre-college class where they met the folks who are here giving the sponsor project. But it's just really rare to see a freshman and even a sophomore, but rare for a freshman. But if I were you and I had an opportunity to get a work study position, I would work in the offices of the departments that you're looking to get some of those corporate sponsored onboarding, because you get to welcome those folks in. You get to work in those offices. You get to know when they're coming. You setting up the calendar. You're setting them up for coffee and taking them around for a tour. So if you can get those work study positions, apply to the positions within the department that you're really looking to make some waves and changes, because they get to see your face, the faculty get to see your face, and they get to advocate for you. Just my
Hope that answers your question, David. These are really great questions, guys. And I'm sure if one person's thinking of it, other people are. So keep asking. And again, don't feel shamed to unmute yourself and blurt out your question. So Patricia's asking about financial aid scholarships for study abroad. So study abroad, it depends on the school that you're going to, and it depends on if our school has a consortium agreement with them. So if the school has a consortium agreement and your CCS is charging, you have charges on CCS side, then you would be eligible for state and federal grants and scholarships, as well as outside scholarships. There are some institutions that CCS doesn't have a consortium agreement with, and you would be paying that host school directly. So that would be looking at scholarships specific to study abroad, and the host school would have to accept that. So I hope that answers your question, Patricia. And then Maddie was asking about time for scholarships. So there is all kinds of times for scholarships. You have, like I was saying, scholarship searching is like a part-time job in itself. So I've been encouraged you to keep looking at those scholarships, keep applying, because no matter if you get it now, if you get it start of the semester, if you get it in the middle of the semester, we can still get it applied towards your account.
I do see a question in here from Natalie asking when is Handshake open to freshmen about applying for internships. I lost it. Oh, and to upload resumes, etc., for job internships for summer 2025. I think you have to have that approved by the certain department because they have to double check your resume to see if you are writing it correctly to make sure you don't have any errors on it before it's uploaded. So the department that holds all of our potential job offerings or internships, there is a department that makes sure that all of our students understand how to write a resume, how it should look, and also how to edit it. So you can ask about that with your department administrator, depending on the department you're coming in, because every student also has to take a business class as well. So you'll have to have your own website. I know the students in studio arts and craft and material studies, they have to have their own website. They have to have a social footprint. Even if you don't have social media, just when you're here, you have to show the department that you're doing it. And they also have to help you with your resume and your CV. So that's a part of the curriculum that you're in and the business practices class that you will take.
So Landon has a question about work study and if you can apply before the semester starts as a new student or you have to wait. So generally, Landon, you can start applying to work study positions once you are actually registered. So once you've sat down with your academic advisor, after they send you the appointment link to go over your degree plan and things like that, that's when you can actually start applying. If you were to apply prior to that, we could not do anything about the offer until you're actually registered. So I hope
there's
that
also a question. I hope that answered the question, but there's also a question from Reagan asking about how do you set up your classes? That's through registration and academic advising. So as soon as a student deposits, we make sure that we have all of your transfer credit evaluations done, just in case you took advanced study classes, dual enrollment classes, or middle technical college classes. We want to make sure that we've given you all of the credits that you've taken, and then we send your file digitally over to academic advising and registration. Once they get it, they'll reach out to you so you can set an appointment with your advisor, not here in admissions, but in what we call AARO, Academic Advising and Registration. And then they will register they'll register you for your classes based on some important questions that they ask you, like, are you an early riser? Do you stay up late? Is it better that you take morning classes or afternoon or evening classes? Some of the classes you will have an option to say yes on, and some of them you have to take when they're offered. So they'll reach out to you as soon as you pay your enrollment deposit. Not as soon, but within that time period.
Can you answer Natalie's question about IB credit?
Let me see.
How to transfer IB credit?
So I see Maddie has a question about AP, which is advanced placement, and IB credits are the same as, they're very much the same. So advanced placement and international baccalaureate, certain schools, districts, and certain states have different things. Florida has ACE exams too, and some people take the CLEP exams. We have to get those final transcripts in order to transfer them over. Usually AP, IB, CLEP, and ACE exam transcripts don't come until after the student is graduated from their high school or either from the program that they're in. As soon as we get those final transcripts, we can add them to our forms. That is your transcript credit evaluation. Then we send it over to academic advising. They fill in the spaces, and then they can register you for your classes. What we're trying to avoid is registering you for classes you've already earned credit for, or in our case, if you've come to pre-college summer experience or you've had a dual enrollment, we want to give you credit for what you've already taken, as long as you passed with a C or above or a 4 or higher on those IB or AP exams. I hope I answered those questions. So we just need the transcripts, and the official transcripts need to be sent to the admissions office or to registration. The enrollment deposit is, we've been sending, if your counselor's probably been touch basing with you once a month, we'll send a congratulations on your acceptance. Now you have to decide if you're going to accept our acceptance by paying your enrollment deposit, and you pay that through a link that we send you. The admissions counselors have been sending out, and that is $250. And you pay it through your application portal. And Natalie asked about parchment. That's how a lot of students send their official transcripts. So I'm assuming you can send your AP scores, IB, CLEP, or ACE exams through that as well. You're welcome. But if parchment doesn't work, Natalie, you can also get your counselor at your school to send it directly to the admissions office. I notice people are leaving. It is 8:03. So if we've got further questions, you guys are welcome to send them to your admissions counselors. You can send them to the financial aid counselors that were here tonight between Allison, Jamie, and Matt, our director of financial aid. So I hope we've answered as much as we could, but I see one more. Is it normal that I haven't seen an email yet? Or could it be hidden in my email, but I'm pretty thorough? Okay, well, maybe Reagan, reach out to your admissions person and see, what's missing. So if it's the deposit information or financial aid information, just see what's missing. Check on them. Sometimes we need to check on us too. But we got you either way. All right, guys, it is 8:04. And the Virgo in me tells me I should let Matt, Jamie, and Allison go. Thank you all for joining. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll put my cell number in the chat just in case there's one more person who has one question that they didn't answer. So you can text me right now, but I'm going to give you 3 seconds. Matt, you can hang up. Jamie, you can hang up. Allison, you can hang up. I live down the street, so I'll hang up in a second.
All right. Thank you for coming, guys. I appreciate you. And of course, again, if you have any questions about financial aid, please feel free to reach out. Have a good night.
Thanks, Matt.